everybody. I am Megan Clark.
And I'm Kesley Holgraver.
And welcome to this week's edition of AgriVision. Let's get into this week's segments. Trade talks with China are moving forward as we get closer to the November election season, and we'll get to hear from Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley. In today's Producer's Corner, we speak with Muscatine native Shane Merritt and how his operation is getting busier closer to the fall season. And to wrap up the show, we get to talk with Tipton FFA President Keith Ermey and our Students Who Succeed in Agriculture Spotlight. But first, we like to take a look at the Young Farmer Incentive Program as we talk with First Central Loan Officer Matt McGuire. Here's Kesley with more.
Thanks, Megan. I got the chance to sit down with Matt and talk about the importance of this program. He is very passionate about it and had a lot to say about it. Let's take a look to see what he had to say.
Typically what happens is a young person would come to the bank and we would do an interview here and maybe fill out a financial statement and visit about the purchase itself. And then if it looks like it fits into the Beginning Farmer program, typically there would be an interview then done with myself and the Beginning Farmer out at the USDA office. And then there's a application that has to be filled out. And I generally help with that. There's a lot of record keeping things that they're going to ask for, and a lot of projection things on this application. Financial statements, cash flows, those kind of things. So we would go through, I generally help the client through that process. And then we submit that application. And if all looks good, then we go ahead with the purchase, and we have a Beginning Farmer program in place. Generally, the payback schedule or the amortization schedule is 20 to 30 years. In some cases, they'll even do a 40-year loan. So you can be in that program essentially all of that time. Now, depending on how things have go over the years and how the producer does with success in his operation, they may graduate you a little early. And that does happen, but generally by the time they graduate you, you're well on your feet and established in your farming operation. So there are some rental programs that are tax incentives for the landowner that get passed on to them is in the form of a tax break. Those programs are available. They have been pared back some recently, but they are available. You just got to find those programs out there. So glad to help young people find those programs.
That is a really interesting topic that we got the chance to learn more about. For me, that's a really interesting thing that any young farmer that's interested in going into farming, that's a really great opportunity for them. And Kesley, do you have anything to add since your brothers are both interested in farming?
So I have 3 brothers. One of them is just out of college and he's starting to farm himself. And he's actually a part of this program and he's found it very helpful. So when you're straight out of college, you're not straight into debt, not with, college loans, but you can also get this loan to help with farming and get things started when switching generations. So it's something I encourage everybody to take part of and grasp at the opportunity.
And a great chance for anyone going into farming, because sometimes it can be a pretty tricky game to get into. So if there's someone there to help you with it, it's definitely something that you want to take advantage of. As harvest and election season get closer, trade is something that is on every farmer's mind right now. We got the chance to go listen to Senator Chuck Grassley speak, and he talks a little bit about trade moving into the November election season.
Some of it's starting right now. Free trade negotiations with England are underway with Britain. That's because Britain is leaving the European Union. We couldn't make a separate agreement with any of the countries in Europe except with the European Union, but they're getting out of the Union. So now we're going to negotiate, and I think we'll have a free trade agreement with them. Maybe by the end of the year, but I doubt if Congress will act on it until next year. Then we're starting trade negotiations with Sub-Sahara Africa, but there's several countries there, and we're only starting with Kenya right now. Then we had a very good agreement for agriculture with Japan that went into effect in August. I think there's going to be more negotiations along that line. And the president said, even though the president and I and agriculture are generally happy with what we call phase one of China, that was signed in January, went into effect late February. That seems to be working out okay. And then we thought that before the end of the year, we'd be negotiating phase two with China. There's some talk of trade talks with Brazil, but that's been talked about for a year, and I don't expect anything to happen with Brazil right away. Taiwan has made a very important move here within the last week, because for maybe a decade, or a little bit less than a decade, we've been irritated with Taiwan because they weren't taking our pork. And it looks like they made a move in this direction, and I think they made it for the purpose to open the door for free trade talks with them, between us and them. And so they've relaxed a lot of their restrictions on pork going into Taiwan. Let's see. Another thing that we got to be concerned about now that we got the U.S.-Mexico-Canadian agreement completed, we got to make sure that it's carried out. And there's some areas with biotech.
Well, it was really interesting for us to get to hear all of that from Senator Chuck Grassley live when we got to listen to him go speak. And it's a really great thing that things are starting to relax more, and it's a great thing for U.S. trade.
Trade is something that's always on farmers' minds. And now we're going to be moving on to our next segment. And with it now being October, that means it is time to start decorating your house with pumpkins and carving pumpkins and other fall activities. We got the chance to sit down and talk with Shane Merritt at Merritt's Produce. He is the owner, and we got to see what his operation does and everything about it. Let's see what he has to say.
My name's Shane Merritt. 12 years ago, I bought the property. Then it kind of evolved into a produce farm, as it had already been a produce farm. Fall is a great time because we get to make a lot of cool displays. We've got a lot of fun colors that we can play with and do stuff with. We get to bring hay racks of stuff in from the fields, and we don't have to worry about them rotting in 2 to 3 days like we do with produce. So we get to do a lot more fun things and make more displays and see a new crowd of people that might not come to us during the summer. So this would be the peanut pumpkin I was talking about earlier. It's a French heirloom bred in the 1800s. And it's got all these stuff on them that looks like peanuts, like peanut shells. And so that's a really cool pumpkin. It's a really good eating pumpkin. It was bred with all the peanut shells on them so you could store it all winter. So it's really cool to see what they were thinking in the 1800s about trying to preserve food and keep it for a longer season than maybe you could just do with some of the other stuff. So they could, in theory, keep this all winter long in the cellar and use it for whatever they wanted to until early spring. So that's one I really like. And then you've got some of the ugly colored ones that are just cool and weird. You could do so many things with this. It is edible, but it's just so gnarly looking that you could stack it. Stacking is kind of a cool thing in the last few years that everybody's kind of getting into. So we see those kind of trends, which are kind of neat. Some years, gray is really popular, and the next one, maybe red's the hot color or whatever. So you get to see with these specialty pumpkins, since there's such a variety, we get to see how not just one person changes throughout the year, but it seems like for whatever reason, people just kind of gravitate and do the same trends every year without even knowing that they're doing it. So those are really cool. We've got white pumpkins, we've got pink pumpkins. This one was really cool. It came out a few years ago. It's not this specific variety, but the first pink pumpkin that they came out with was actually bred for a fundraiser for breast cancer awareness. So they asked everybody to donate a certain amount of money, I forget what it was, per pumpkin that you grow, and donate it to the Breast Cancer Foundation. The new one this year, this is our first year growing it, it's called a black futsu. We're just learning how and when to harvest this one, so there are all sorts of different colors in here. But just very wordy, very kind of small. You can do a lot of things with this, just decorative wise. So that's kind of a new one that's kind of neat.
And now, Megan Kesley, back to you.
Thank you, Beth. That was a fun topic to talk about. Everybody loves pumpkins, especially in the fall.
Yeah, and Beth even brought us back some of these adorable little pumpkins that we get to go put in our houses or outside just to get ready for the fall season coming up because, like Kesley said, who doesn't love pumpkins?
Also, joining us in the studio is Leo Winchester. He knows and has a little background at the Merritts. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Thanks, Kesley. Yep, as Kesley said, my name is Leo, and I've been working at Merritt Farms for about 2 years now. I don't necessarily work in the field where they pick and bring all the stuff to the store, but I do work in the produce stand where they bring out all of the different types of fruits and vegetables that we have for sale. We also make our own honey from all the bees that pollinate all of our fields. And then we also make our own jam like strawberry, blueberry, raspberry, rhubarb. And then we also have an ice cream shop right next to our produce stand called Sweet Tooth, sorry. And we sell about 24 different types of ice creams from like Rocky Road to strawberry cheesecake to just the regular old vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. We also make our own waffle cones, so I definitely suggest that you two go get some ice cream when we're done here.
It's kind of ironic that you say all this because my sister, Kaylee, works at the Merritt's produce stand that we have in DeWitt, and I work at Cups and Cones, our local ice cream shop. So that's kind of a cool little thing that we can tie in there. It's a small world.
Absolutely.
Harvest also means that there's a lot of new technology that's available to farmers this time of year. Some of this technology includes drones for field mapping and even looking at different damage that's being assessed with the drones. Our CAC member, Carter Mumpson, was at the location at Kuhnau Implement in DeWitt. Here's Carter with more information.
Thanks, Megan. I'm here in DeWitt, Iowa at Kuhnau Implement with Ryan Heilig, who has been working here for the past 7 years and is their precision ag specialist.
What farmers use drones for is going out and crop scouting. You can fly down and look at different problem areas in the field. It just goes right through our phone here. And then once it's all connected to each other, this thing will basically fly itself. You can put it on autonomous mode and it'll go out and fly a mission. We're going to fly it manual mode right now. The drones equipped with special cameras and different software, we could also take it out and see how vigorous the crop is, whether it's growing correctly. We can identify different stress areas in the crop. There's different software programs, kind of like the one I was working on my computer, that we could take this information gathered with this drone and kind of interpolate it out and use it for decision-making things. So mainly crop scouting, checking on crops, going to assess wind damage. I know there's insurance companies that utilize drones to check wind damage in crops. Farmers are looking at it from pest standpoint, going out and seeing if there's any areas that you can see from up in the sky, if they're showing a little bit of stress, if the crops are starting to turn yellow when they're not supposed to be turning yellow. So mainly from a crop scouting standpoint and a comparison standpoint. I know one farmer that utilized his drone to look at two different hybrids that were planted next to each other. One of them blew down from the wind and one of them didn't. He took his drone up and got a really good aerial view of the both hybrids planted next to each other, and he could see that one hybrid was down and one hybrid withstood our windstorm really well. So he's going to plant that hybrid of corn next year because it held up to the wind a lot better than the other hybrid. So it's basically a decision-making tool to increase our yields, increase our efficiency, and make more money.
That was Ryan Heilig from Kunow Implement demonstrating drone technology. Back to you, Megan.
Thank you, Carter. Well, it was really interesting to learn about all the different things that drones can do. I mean, I drive by Kunow Implement every day on my way to school, and I see all the big equipment that they have out there, but never did I think about all the other things that go into farming with the drone mapping and looking at different drone shots. That's a really cool opportunity that I really got to see that. But right now, we would like to take a few minutes to update you about things that are happening around the Muscatine area. This week, the Muscatine Farmers Market will be open from 7:30 to 11:30. For those of you joining us from outside of Muscatine, the Quad Cities Farmers Market along the river is also open this Saturday, and Merritt's is also open if you want to stop and pick up a pumpkin of your own. But that's all I have for community announcements today, and Kesley, can you introduce our last segment, please?
I would love to, Megan. This next segment is one of my favorites. We get to highlight a student who succeeds in agriculture. This week, we're going to highlight Keith Ermey. He is the president of the Tipton FFA chapter. He is very passionate about FFA and has a lot to say. Let's take a look.
So my name is Keith Ermey. I go to Tipton High School, and I actually live in Bennett, Iowa. I'm an FFA because I have a genuine interest in ag, and I really enjoy it, and hope someday make ag into my career and farm and that sort of thing. So I guess I really ag's a big important part of my life. So I'm the FFA president this year. Last year I was the secretary, the year before I was the reporter. So this year, the president, I'm the leader, I'm the person who makes sure things get done. I'm the kid that stays late and makes sure that things are the way they're supposed to be. I guess I've just always, grown up on a farm, I have that inborn fondness, as they say in the FFA creed, that's me. It's the dedication and the positive attitude and the resilience of its members, the advisor, and just the school in general that make FFA what it is and make it a good program. An SAE is a supervised agricultural experience. My SAE project is diversified crop production, which in simple terms, I'm farming 20 acres of ground, building a skill set so I can hopefully someday do that on my own. When you have an SAE project, it's a wonderful learning opportunity, and I guess I've learned a lot. I've really enjoyed it. I'll always look back and think about the memories, the fun times, the driving down the interstate, doing things we probably shouldn't have been doing, the camaraderie, that you had your group of people that weren't in sports with you, that weren't in the band with you. They were a different group of kids that really connected you into a different sort of group. I plan to go to college, and I really enjoy engineering as well, so probably go for ag engineering is what I'm thinking now. But I do hope to, come back, live on the farm, help my parents, and hopefully someday farm myself.
Well, thanks, Keith. What a great story about a great organization. I am also my chapter's president, so it was even interesting to hear how other chapters work and his SAE and everything about that. What do you think, Megan?
Yeah, so I thought it was a really cool segment too because I'm the vice president of my FFA chapter, and it's really cool that we get to hear about the different SAEs that go on within FFA, as I have a different one within beef production and my CAC media SAE as well. If you want to learn more about Tipton FFA, you can visit their website at tiptonffa.com.
And before we go, we're going to head back over to Leo for some Leo's Farm Trivia. Take it away, Leo.
Thanks, Kesley. So we are going to be playing a game called Farm Trivia. In front of you both, you have a button along with some small pumpkins. I'm going to read you some true or false questions. And if you think you know the answer, hit that button. And then give me your answer. And you will tell me what you think your answer is. And then, if you do get it right, you will earn 1 pumpkin. And the person who ends up getting 3 pumpkins wins a big, gigantic pumpkin that you get to take home for yourself.
Ooh,
Y'all ready?
I'm excited.
Okay. Hands at the buzzer. Ready?
We're ready.
Okay. Top hair is the silk-like material at the end of an ear of corn.
Oh, that is false.
You're right, it is false.
Woohoo!
It's called silk. Okay, next question.
1-9.
The average chicken lays between 250 and 300 eggs a year.
Is it false? Is it over 300?
It's actually true. They do
Do I get another pumpkin?
You do get another pumpkin.
It's 2-0. 1 more pumpkin and I win. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. A worker bee produces a whole teaspoon of honey in its lifetime.
True.
False.
Oh, no. I get a pumpkin. Oh, no.
It's actually 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey, which is actually really small. So, it's now 2-1. Oh gosh, it's so in. Okay. A cat. No, not that one. Horses cannot vomit.
I'm going to go with true.
You are right, it is true.
Oh, no. Oh,
It
no.
is now tied 2-2. So this is for all the marbles right here.
Oh, boy.
Okay, last question. Lettuce is the only vegetable that is only sold fresh and never frozen, canned, or processed.
True.
You are right, it is
Woo!
true. So grab
So-
yourself that big pumpkin.
I get this ginormous pumpkin to take home with me today. Thank you, Beth, for bringing this back. Kesley, maybe you can get it next time.
Maybe next
On
time.
farm trivia, if you practice and study up on
I
your
have to
trivia.
do some more studying on my egg
Yeah.
trivia.
Well, that's all the time that we have for this week's segment, but thank you for joining us today. This has been Megan Clark
And Kesley Holgraver.
for AgriVision.